Hey, 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 everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy May. I don't know if we officially said Happy May yesterday. Tomorrow is a very special day, by the way. Do you know what tomorrow is? It's May the 4th. So we'll be doing some fun May the 4th. Be with you. Themed things tomorrow. But today is Wednesday, May the 3rd. Super excited to be hanging out with you guys and ready for an awesome day. I am live from my home studio in Miami, Florida. It is a beautiful, warm summer day outside. My mom and dad are here to visit this week. So I got to play tourist a little bit today and show them some of the area in between all of the things that I had to do for work, which was very, very fun, taking them out for a great dinner tonight. And it's just a beautiful day, so I can't complain. We are live concurrently across platforms on YouTube, on Facebook, on Rumble, to our Getter gang, and to our locals community. I am so glad all of you guys are here. If you are a first-time looker, wow, Isabel is really struggling. I'm reading words in the chat and talking to you at the same time. Clearly only had one cup of coffee today. If you're a first-time viewer, someone said look in the chat. If you're a first-time viewer of the stream, please let us know in the live chat and say hello to us. Let us know if you are here for the first time, if you are generally pretty new to following me on social media. We have been exploding in new viewers lately, and I am so, so happy to see you guys here. So do me a favor really quick. If you're watching on any of the platforms that I just mentioned and you have not already, hit follow or subscribe on the platform that you are watching on. Do me a favor right out the gate. Wow, Isabel needs another cup of coffee. We might have to do a little BRB moment where I go make another cup of coffee. Do me a follow, hit the subscribe or the follow button. Share this link with somebody, repost it if you have the capacity to on Getter or on Facebook. And let us know how excited you are to be here today in the chat. Bradley on Facebook says you are a first-time viewer from Canada, and we've got a lot of other people to say hello to, so let's do that. Over on our Getter gang, our original streaming crew, Was a Teen Teacher says it's a happy sunny day in Indiana, not quite as warm as Miami. Estefan is here on Getter. We've got Alex watching on Locals. We've got Daniel Maynard watching on Locals, and several others. Uncle Pudge says, what up, Isabel? Glad to see you in our Rumble chat. On Facebook, Jay's watching from Minnesota. Peggy is watching on Facebook. Alan's watching on Facebook, says, dodging raindrops. It's a beautiful day here in Miami. I don't want to tell you how beautiful it is. If it's really raining and horrible where you are, that's no fun. Samurai's watching on YouTube. Sai is watching on YouTube. Will is here on YouTube. HWD is on YouTube, says, Howard sends a big good day to everyone from Australia. That's so cool. Love when you guys watch from the other side of the globe. Steven says, I'm a third-time looker, LOL. Guys, I'm never going to live that down. That is so embarrassing. Isabel really needs more caffeine. XVII7Q on YouTube says, hey, Isabel, I'm doing great. We've got somebody watching from Sri Lanka on the chat in YouTube. So cool. Always a place I've wanted to visit. And Will says they are new here over in our YouTube chat. So glad to see all of you guys. You guys are all roasting me. It's fine. You know what? It's fine. At least I can take a joke and make fun of myself. It's so embarrassing. About my little misconfusion of all the words there. We're gonna make a cup of coffee in about 10 minutes as we're about halfway through the stream, but wanted to say hi to all of you guys first in our chat before we kick things off. And before I say anything today, I have a really fun big announcement, and I want to see lots of W's in our chat or clapping emojis or hearts or something, because not to brag too much about her, she's at work, so she's not watching. My sister, my younger sister, who is 24, she just turned 23, I think. So we're good. I always forget. She just turned 23. Is starting medical school this year. And, drum roll please, yesterday, she got called off the wait list for her dream medical school program at the Cleveland Clinic School of Medicine that only accepts 32 students a year. I am so ecstatic for her. Not only is it super, super, super prestigious, it's also tuition free, which is insane for a medical school program. I cannot possibly wrap my head around how excited I am for her. It kind of still feels like a dream, to be honest. So if you guys have been following me for a while and you know anything about my siblings, my youngest sister is still in college. She just finished her last class today at Texas Christian University for her sophomore year, which is very fun. And Gabby, my middle sister, just got accepted to her dream medical school program at the Cleveland Clinic. I'm so pumped for her. Give her some love in the chat, and I'll make sure that she sees all of that later because she is at work and she's not watching at this very moment in time. Optimistic living reminds us nothing is free, LOL JK. Correct. Nothing is free. But if you can graduate debt-free from medical school, that's a pretty big freaking W in the United States of America today, when most med school costs about $500,000 when all is said and done. So very excited for my sister Gabby. Gabby, when you watch this later, congratulations to you. I could not be more proud to be your big sister and had to just share that with the world, to our amazing community here on the stream. Okay, today I wanted to shake things up a little bit because I know we've been going really heavy on the stream into reaction videos and talking politics and breaking news, and I kind of wanted to zoom out for our live stream today and talk more generally and more broadly about what's happening in culture, how we can break free from the lies of culture, not just in the United States of America, but really all around the world today. And I know we have people watching from Australia, from Sri Lanka, from the Netherlands, from Peru, I think from Canada. I saw a bunch of people from Canada and all over the world. So this applies to literally every single person who is watching this stream across the world right now. All of our modern culture as humanity, we know, sucks and is lying to us and is setting us up for heartbreak, for failure, for disaster in our mental health, a lack of faith, a lack of success, and more. So I think it's important for us sometimes, every once in a while on these live streams, to zoom out from the crazy fun TikTok videos that we react to, or talking about politics, or uncovering breaking news and walking through what that means to us, and talk instead about the high level 30,000 foot look down on where we are at and where we can go from here discussion and perspective. So today I want us to just acknowledge where we are at in culture first, break down what that's doing to us, and then provide some concrete steps that we each can take to break free from the lies of modern culture and live a more happy and fulfilling and healthy life by daring to live like a rebel in 2023. What do you say? I think you guys are excited about it. As always, please be using our chat throughout the stream. We want your thoughts, your feedback. If you disagree with anything that I say, if you have anything that you want to add to anything that I'm saying through each of the 6 steps that we're going to uncover here in the next couple of minutes, please drop all of that in the live chat. We want to know your guys' thoughts and really make this a dialogue and that sense of community that is so important to us here on these streams. Okay, first and foremost, let's just start with where we are at in modern culture. This is going to be a little bit more American-centric, but really does apply to all of you who are watching from abroad as well. I always like to say this, and some of you who have been viewers of the stream for a really long time and you've been a part of this community have probably heard me say this way too many times, so bear with me. But since we do have a lot of new viewers, I think it's important for us to break it all down again. In 2023, we live in a time that I think is a lot more upside down than right side up. And when I speak to conservative political fundraisers or ordinary groups that contract me to come speak, or conferences or anything else, I travel a lot to give public speaking remarks and really provide a Gen Z perspective into what's going on in the world. I always like to remind people that I'm a huge fan of Stranger Things, the Netflix show. I cannot wait for the next season to come back, which apparently now isn't until 2025, by the way, which is such a load of BS. I'm really upset about it. It's fine. We will come back to that later. But in 2023, like in Netflix's Stranger Things, when the kids in Hawkins, Indiana are trying to uncover all this evil stuff that's impacting their world, they have to go into the upside down, which is a parallel to the world that they live in every single day. It kind of looks the same, it sort of feels the same, but it could not be more fundamentally different to the reality that they should be used to and that they are longing for in their small town in the Midwest in the United States. We live like that. in 2023 America. And I often hear people, my parents or my grandparents' age, point the finger at Gen Z and complain and grumble to themselves that we are destroying the America or the world, if you're watching from another country, they once knew and loved as we come into adulthood, because everything is confusing, nothing is recognizable, and truth has completely gone by the wayside. Of course, if you're somebody who's been watching this for a really long time, you'll know that that's not Gen Z's fault. We've unpacked that at length, but it is fundamentally different from the reality that my parents, or even millennials who are just a few years older than us, came into adulthood in and grew up in the United States of America. Instead, today in 2023, up is down and down is up, and men are women and women are men, and right is wrong and wrong is right. Somehow we've arrived in a time where it is more moral, it is better, more morally righteous for someone to suggest that we castrate a child than to tell them that they're comfortable in their own skin, or we can help them be comfortable in their own skin and embrace their gender. We are more comfortable putting 12-year-old girls through menopause before they ever go through puberty, through elective hysterectomies or double mastectomies, because one day she wakes up and feels like a boy, instead of encouraging her to embrace who she was made to be and to lean into that. We've arrived in a time, at least in the United States, where it is more morally righteous. It is better for us to expose children to illicit adult conversations about sexual behavior and putting pornographic books in public libraries for elementary school than to suggest that maybe the parents of a family should have a more important role in talking to their kids about sex ed than a school teacher who clearly has an agenda in the process. In 2023 America, it is better, more morally righteous for a young woman like myself to kill and sacrifice our child because of an inconvenience that they pose to us on the altar of the abortion industry, joining 63 plus million other innocent children from the last several decades, than to be told we are strong enough, we are capable enough, and we are good enough to become a mom. And by the way, why would we want kids anyway? Because it hurts the environment, right? Or it's just so much work. You can just get a puppy, right? We've convinced ourselves that it is better and more morally righteous to have no strings attached in any of our most intimate relationships, to embrace hookup culture or dating a ton of people all at the same time without actually committing to someone with our whole selves, than to get married and start a family, which is why we have the lowest marriage rate in America since we began recording marriage rates in 1867, and one of the highest divorce rates in our nation's history. We've convinced ourselves that we can really lead the race to the bottom in America with poor education, poor personal satisfaction and rising levels of mental health crises, poor nutrition, and so many other examples. And yet we continue to gaslight ourselves into thinking that we're the greatest nation in the world. I will always be proud to be an American. I'm proud to be from a country that has uplifted people more than anyone else throughout all of humanity's history, that has provided a beacon of hope and freedom and liberty to so many generations who came before me. But the America that we are living in today is the Stranger Things upside down version of what it is supposed to be. Dutch Canadian on our YouTube chat says, Jack Sparrow says, up is down. That's just maddeningly confusing. That's how today feels. It's maddeningly confusing to look around at the state of affairs in our modern world and see that everyone across the board is being told you can do whatever you want with absolutely zero consequences. You can refuse to take care of yourself physically and become morbidly obese and eat like crap, and there are no consequences because obesity is beautiful. We're going to put you on the cover of a magazine for that. And then you'll probably have to have a bunch of surgeries and get diagnosed with diabetes, which, by the way, half the world, I read a recent study about, is projected to be struggling with diabetes within the next several decades. Half the world. We're told that there's no strings attached when we have sex, that there's no consequence to sex at all. That's a consequence-free activity that you have a right to enjoy. Well, of course, we have multi-billion-dollar industries built around the actual consequences of sex and just taking care of that for you. Not to mention the complete heartbreak and devastation of not being emotionally bonded to someone when we engage in the most emotionally bonding activity of all time. We're told there's absolutely no consequences to not worshiping God. And yet we live in a godless society that now allows for literally the satanic temple to open abortion facilities in states like New Mexico to sacrifice babies as a part of a religious ritual to Satan. And we've convinced ourselves that there's no consequences to children taking hormone replacement therapy because it's totally irreversible, right? It's totally irreversible. Or it's totally reversible. Isabel needs coffee. Totally reversible. It won't impact their long-term health one bit whatsoever. It's fine. It just delays puberty. It doesn't actually change their biology. It just delays puberty. It gives them more time to figure out who they want to identify with as an adult. When in reality, we are giving them the same drugs that we developed to castrate registered sex offenders, repeat sex offenders. And now we are castrating the next generation of children because they were gaslit into believing that they shouldn't be who they were designed to be, that they should run away from everyone that they were designed to be. And we could keep going example by example by example by example, but it's unbelievably clear to me that we live in the upside down. Naturally, then, everyone is miserable. In America today, my generation is dealing with the single largest mental health crisis the world has ever seen or ever come into contact with insane record levels of anxiety, of depression, of suicidal thoughts and attempts. In 2021, the CDC found that 1 in 3 teenage girls seriously contemplated taking her own life because she genuinely believed that death was a better alternative to the endless possibilities that were laid out in front of her for her future in what's supposed to be the greatest country in the world. So I'll always be proud of the country we were, but I'm not so proud of the country that we are today. And I don't think there's anything unpatriotic or un-American or bad about that statement. In fact, I think every once in a while, us looking in the mirror and acknowledging this is where we are at today. This is who we are today, and it's not where we want to be is really healthy and allows for us to take full assessment of where we are at this point in time so that we can figure out where we're going. And I wish more people who loved this country took it into themselves and took it upon themselves to admit this isn't where we want to end up. This isn't where we're supposed to be right now. It's going to take a whole hell of a lot of work to get where we want to go. And that work depends on us. So it's time for us to figure out where we can go and what we can do from here. We are miserable as a society. We're miserable in our personal lives. Clearly, we're anxious, depressed, and suicidal. And we're completing mass levels of substance abuse and overdoses. We're miserable in our dating lives. Over half of my generation has taken ourselves off the dating market entirely. And for those of us who are dating, which is very, very few people, we're not getting married. And if we do get married, we'll probably get divorced. We're miserable in our jobs because we've convinced ourselves that a corporate office somewhere in a big city downtown is our work family, and that's where we should be spending all of our time to prove our loyalty to a woke company that would rather pay for an abortion than family leave, paternity or maternity leave. And that's good. That's really healthy, right? We got to climb that ladder. That's going to be great, but we're miserable. We're miserable as a society at large. So if we're being told you can do whatever you want with no strings attached, with no consequences, you'd think that that would make us really happy, right? But it's not. So what can we do as my generation, Gen Z, or everyone else who comes before or after us, to take stock in where we are today, knowing that it's making us miserable, and where we can go from here. I've made a list of about 6 steps that we can take into account, and I want to know what you guys think about this, because I would love to hear your thoughts on each one of these 6 steps, or if you have any other ones that you think we can embrace and take into account for ourselves on what we can do to live free, to live like a rebel from this miserable, upside down, horrifying culture that has become our norm in 2023, to instead live in a time and a place where we are happy and proud of the place that we can call home again. And that's not unique just to the United States of America. That's true all over the world for all of you guys watching as well. Step number 1 is simply to find peace in who you were designed to be. Maybe the biggest attack on truth is the attack on gender that has really crippled and choke-held my generation into lying to ourselves and convincing ourselves that who we were designed to be was wrong or doesn't exist at all, because gender really is just a feeling or it's a spectrum. If you are a young man, run towards the fact that you were designed to embrace masculinity, real masculinity, not a video game version of what that's supposed to look like, but standing up for what's right, fighting against people in power when they abuse that power, protecting the people in your life from what's evil and wrong and dangerous, embracing your own strength and taking care of yourself so that you can give back to others. Similarly, if you are a young woman, embrace your femininity. Don't be afraid to embrace your womanhood. Who you were designed to be as a woman is amazing, is the coolest thing that the world has ever known. The capacity that you have as a woman to grow and create life, to care for other people, is the most punk rock, badass, incredible thing that could possibly have been given to you. Stop buying into the lies that you need to be subservient to a male CEO at a major woke company who's going to pay for endless abortions for you, instead of the natural and innate desire to want a family. Stop believing the lies that your identity, your gender, your biology is wrong, and that you should be taking testosterone, which you can just walk into a Planned Parenthood and walk out the same day with no history of gender dysphoria, because you're going to be a lot happier if you're a man. Stop buying into the lies that womanhood is something that can be replaced by biological men wearing dresses and posing with brand deals and ad sponsorships from Tampax and Nike and Kate Spade and Bud Light and so many others on your TikTok For You page, because who you are, who you were designed to be, is beautiful and should be embraced and run towards and fed into and inspired and growing every single day, rather than something that we run away from. Alex Padron in our locals chat says, masculinity isn't toxic. Embrace it. Facts. Masculinity isn't toxic. And I absolutely love that statement. We should be embracing that. And women, we should be embracing femininity. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging a reality that men and women are different. That doesn't make us unequal in society, but that does allow us to fully complement one another and lift one another up and push each other forward into something better than us trying to convince ourselves that we are all exactly the same when we're not. And I think that's just right in front of our face, right? It's hard for us to even deny it, but we're in the upside down where we're trying to deny that every single day. Emrock on our locals chat says, the feminist message is toxic and hurtful to women. It is, because instead of just embracing who we are and who we were designed to be, the feminist movement in America today is encouraging us to run away from every single thing that makes us a woman, to make ourselves more like men, and vice versa, by the way. They cheer on men who pretend to be women, who identify as women, far more than they even cheer on biological women. It's upside down. It's crazy. But step 1 of how you can live like a rebel in 2023 and embrace a more fulfilling and wholesome and peaceful life is to find peace in who you were designed to be, man or woman. Step 2 is not very controversial, I never thought, until I started getting banned on TikTok for saying this. to take care of yourself and be mindful of what you are putting in your body, aka what you are eating and what you are drinking. Our culture today has created an entire false narrative about embracing obesity, about letting go of our health, and giving zero regard whatsoever to what we are eating and drinking every single day, to the point that the new food pyramid literally says that Lucky Charms marshmallows are healthier than steak. That eggs are terrible for you, that we should be lab growing our meat or creating meat alternatives rather than eating protein that was designed for us to eat, that human beings have been consuming for our entire lives? I don't know. It's a little crazy. Not to mention that we've adjusted childhood development benchmarks because kids are struggling with obesity to levels that we have never seen before in human history. Obese models are gracing the covers of fitness magazines or women's health magazines. Notice how it's never men's magazines, by the way. They still have 8-packs on the cover of men's fitness magazines. But women, it's all the obese people. Why? I don't understand. And that's not to say that you are a bad person if you don't take care of yourself or you don't work out or you don't care what you eat, or even if you're struggling with obesity. But we should never be comfortable with where we are at right now. We should always be pushing to take better care of ourselves. Especially today when so many of our foods are riddled with toxins or endocrine disruptors and literally are poisoning us from the inside out because of pesticides or so many other chemicals that people like Bill Gates are responsible for putting on our food. I think it really comes on us. Our responsibility comes on us to be mindful, to do the research and take it upon ourselves to be aware of what we are eating, what we are drinking, and how often we are working out. I had a pretty major kidney surgery in November of 2021, right the day after Thanksgiving, because of a congenital defect that we didn't really catch until I was an adult. And luckily, they were able to save my kidney, which was awesome. But laying there on that operating table was a huge realization and wake-up call for me that you can prevent well into the majority of most things that are going to cause you ailment, illness, or disability later on in life by just taking a little bit of responsibility right now, today. That doesn't have to be reinventing the wheel. It doesn't have to be very difficult. But if you're not eating well and you're not working out regularly, it's time to start. Plus, in the very wise words of Elle Woods, happy people are important in society, right? If we're going back to Legally Blonde, exercise gives you endorphins, and endorphins make you happy. And happy people just don't kill their husbands. They just don't. So if you don't want to kill your husband, hit the gym and take better care of yourself. Nessie says, but chicken McNuggets taste so good. Guys, stop eating chicken paste. If you're going to eat a chicken nugget, at least go to Chick-fil-A where it looks like a real chicken, okay? I'm sorry. You just got to do it. You know you need to. The feeling is there. I don't need to convince you too much of all of that. Step 2, take care of yourself and be mindful of what you're eating and drinking. Step 3, now it's time to start asking ourselves, what are we putting on our bodies, not just in our bodies in terms of what we're eating and drinking. I have spent the last 6 months or so, we'll do a whole big project about this on the stream, unpacking all of the results that I have found about the number of toxins that are present in most of our cleaning, beauty, and personal hygiene supplies. And it is shocking. As soon as you start doing the deep dive spiral into all of this stuff, you will discover that the vast majority of the cleaning products that you have hiding under your kitchen sink, or the lotions that you use, or the face makeup that you put on your face, or the shampoo that you use in the shower contain ungodly amounts of toxic chemicals that are endocrine disruptors, meaning they might impact your sperm count or a woman's ability to conceive children later on. They cause all kinds of skin irritations or are cancerous. In many situations, they can be carcinogens and lead to a higher risk of getting cancer. Most sunscreens, which you wear to prevent yourself from getting skin cancer, can cause skin cancer because of the extremely high concentration of carcinogens that are found in your sunscreen. It is insane. I have several recommendations for where you can go to start doing some of this research in terms of what products are toxic and are not. But the first is to just download an app called Think Dirty. It's a little like black square with some color on the bottom is the cover picture of the app. And you can look up any shampoo, conditioner, lotion, makeup, cleaning supplies, whatever. And it'll tell you exactly what the ingredients that are listed in a huge long list in the fine print on the back of those products are, and if they are safe or not to use. There is a reason that the vast, vast majority of beauty products, makeup, lotions, fragrances, cleaning supplies that we use in America are banned everywhere else around the world. And it's because they cause so much unhealthy consequences in our lives every single day. It's incredibly scary. But you got to do your due diligence and make sure that you know what you are putting on your body from a lotion perspective, from a skincare perspective, from a makeup perspective, and more. HWD71 says, you sound like my doctor, LOL. See, this is so funny though, because doctors aren't even telling us this anymore. This list of how we can live like a rebel today and take ownership and responsibility over our lives, doctors aren't even telling us this anymore. Instead, the vast majority of doctors are just telling whatever they're supposed to tell you to avoid getting their license taken away. It's crazy. It is insane. So step 3, be mindful of what products you are using and where you can swap out for a better non-toxic alternative. Trust me, you will be much happier because of it. And you'll break out less and your skin won't be irritated as much and you'll just feel better. Step number 4, it's time to start asking ourselves how we are spending our time. I'm a bit of an old soul. I've always been a bit of an old soul, but I've never really understood the huge push from people in my generation to live like they are insane and crazy while they're in their 20s, just for the sake of living like you're insane when you're in your 20s. Party really crazy when you're in your 20s so that you'll have great stories by the time you're in your 30s, right? And I watch so many people in my friend groups and the people that I've worked with and people in my generation go out of their way to go out and party every single night or every single weekend to hook up with as many people as humanly possible so that they can just try a bunch of relationships on before they really know what they want before they settle down, even though I think it's probably pretty obvious what we want out of our relationships, right? Doesn't really take sleeping with hundreds of people to figure that out, but maybe I'm just wrong and a weird conspiracy theorist. They drink alcohol all weekend, every single weekend. They don't take care of themselves. They sit there and watch a zillion TV shows over and over and over again and just have their eyes glued to a screen instead of spending time with their friends and family. They isolate themselves from their friends and family. They vape all day long because it's the cool, fun thing to do, and they want to fit in with society. And I'm here to tell you that fitting in with society is the biggest, most overrated thing that you could possibly want in terms of how you spend your time in 2023 in America and around the world. Every single day, you should be asking yourself, how am I spending my time today to become a better version of myself, to make the people around me want to be a better version of themselves, and to give back to the people in my family, in my community, in my country, and in my world, because true satisfaction and happiness does not come from going to endless bars and clubs every single weekend. It does not come from toxic hookup culture and sleeping around with as many people as you possibly can. It does not come from doing whatever you want, whatever culture we've decided that has existed in. I've never understood what that means, by the way. It comes from being intentional with how we spend our time. Read a book. Shocking that those still exist, by the way, I know. But read a book about something you've always wanted to learn about, or someone that you really value what they have to say. Maybe turn off your screen and go outside. Shocking, I know, not a very common thing to do, but spend 30 minutes walking around the block with your dog or with your friend or significant other instead of sitting there watching another episode of TV. Clean your house. I came home the other day. I'm very bad at cleaning my house, by the way, but I came home the other day from like 2 months on the road and walked into my apartment and it was absolutely spotless and thought, wow, this is what it's like to live in a clean house all the time. Imagine if I spent 10 minutes a day doing this. The intentionality that we spend with our time creates unbelievably stronger, happier, healthier, more fulfilled versions of ourselves, and we should run away as fast and as far as we can from every single thing that society tells us we should be spending our time doing, living like we're crazy in our 20s just so we can have crazy fun stories later on down the line, which, by the way, are never as fun and crazy as you think they're going to be. But go outside, touch grass, see the sunshine, be intentional with your time. That's step 4. Step 5, ask yourself, who am I surrounding myself with? They say that your personality and how you view the world and your perspective on the world is a culmination of the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most often. That's it. It's a pretty intense realization when you sit down and really think about it. The people that you talk to every single day, the people that you interact with every single day, the people you go to work with every single day, those 5 people that you spend the most time with are influencing every single thing about you. When you look at them and their lives and how happy they are and the type of life that they are building and living right now, is that the life that you want to live? I've had to be incredibly honest with myself many, many, many more times than you guys realize and tell myself in the moment, this is not the life that I want to live. How these people are conducting their time, what their moral code is, how they speak about others, what their faith life looks like. I don't want to live like these people do. And it's been really hard to cut myself off from some of those people, but it is the best thing that I could have ever done. That doesn't mean that I have hatred towards them or I think that they're bad people, but it's not the trajectory or the path that I wanted for my life. And instead, I had to go out and be intentional and find people who speak truth into my life and who live their life with intention and have everything based in faith and take great care of themselves and want to pay attention to the important things in life that I think are very, very important. And that's a really hard realization if you're hearing that right now and you're thinking, yeah, my friends party all the time and they sleep around with everybody and they do drugs all the time and they drink way too much alcohol and they never go to church. It might be fun for like 5 minutes, but deep, deep down, I kind of know that I don't want to live my life like that. It can be very difficult to walk away from that, but I can promise you it is the best decision that you possibly could make in choosing who you surround yourself with. In our locals chat, Johnny says you are who you surround yourself with and you are who you pay attention to. So even beyond who you are directly surrounding yourself with your friends or your coworkers or your significant other, the most important person that you surround yourself with, who you listen to and who you pay attention to matter just as much, especially in this world of independent media, of independent commentary, and of where you are consuming your news and information from. Every single person that's watching this stream, I guarantee you, hasn't turned on corporate news in quite a while, at least a couple of weeks. So thank you guys for choosing this instead. But pay attention to who you're following on social media, what live streams you're watching, what podcasts you're listening to. Who you pay attention to, whether you realize it or not, does influence your opinions, your values, your perspective on the world. And while I do believe you should go out of your way to follow people and find people that you disagree with so that you can understand what their intentions are, where they're coming from, and how you can have a real conversation with them, when you're listening to the people that you do agree with, be very, very mindful and careful of the fact that those people could be creating an echo chamber for you and driving you farther and farther and farther into something that you may not necessarily agree with. Don't forget that you don't have to agree with every single thing that I say or another podcast host says or another Instagram influencer says. You can go out of your way to do your own research, and who you pay attention to, those people should be inspiring you to go figure out what you believe, not just telling you that you should blindly believe what I believe. So, rule number 5, who are you surrounding yourself with? Time to start asking ourselves that question and be aware that you are who you surround yourself with and who you pay attention to. Our last one is a really fun one, and I love talking about this stuff with you guys. We spend a lot of time over on our locals community talking about dating, which is super, super fun. And I love that Nessie said on our YouTube chat, hey, Isabel's life coaching us right now. I kind of feel like I am life coaching you right now, but these are just some lessons I've learned along the way for how to reject all of the lies of culture and live a much, much, much more fulfilling life. So our last rule number 6, is start to ask yourself, who am I choosing to love? Who is my significant other and what am I looking for out of a dating relationship? I've spent a lot of time over on our series on locals, Outdated, which unfortunately we missed an episode of yesterday because the water went out in my building, so we had to go stay at a hotel, and it was like a whole 9-yard thing. It was crazy. We got a great episode of Domus coming to you guys tomorrow too, which I'll remind you at the end of the stream. But we spent a lot of time over on Outdated talking about my take on dating and all of the lies that are hitting Generation Z right now in terms of dating and sex and relationships and where we can go to find the truth in a more fulfilling way of life. But this was also something like having to cut friends out of my life that weren't living according to the values that were most important to me. I've had to learn along the way of looking for somebody with intention that I could see myself spending a life with and expecting better from that person and from myself. I don't know who needs to hear this today, but you do not have to settle for the standards of society in what you are looking for in your relationships. You don't. And if you are settling according to societal standards for what it means to be happy in dating and relationships, you probably are going to be really, really miserable. I love love. I have always loved love and always dreamed of growing up and falling in love and getting engaged and married and being unbelievably happy, head over heels in love with my significant other. I, therefore, am really, really loyal to the people that I date to a fault and have gaslit myself and convinced myself more times than I can count that this person would be so perfect for me if they could just change this one little thing. It's actually a really big thing that means we are totally on different pages in terms of what we want out of our lives. If I can get this person to fall in love with Jesus the same amount that I'm in love with Jesus, then it'll be great. And we already have a lot of fun together and a lot of the same hobbies, and it'll be great. But like, he'll get there, right? He'll get there eventually. I just got to give it time. Guess who still hasn't gotten there? I know that, he doesn't treat me very well. He's cheated on me a few times, but he'll get there, right? Like, he'll realize that this is eventually what he really wants, and he's apologized and he feels really bad about it. And we have so much fun together, and we have all of the same hobbies and generally the same values, I thought anyway. He'll get there, right? Guess who still hasn't gotten there? He says that he's really politically conservative, but he treats people kind of not that way. And then we get in a lot of arguments about these really important political values that I think really shape your outlook on the world. Like, I can probably convince him, right? I can probably change his mind on this issue or this issue or this issue. And then we'll be on the same page. And then it's going to be fantastic. And we'll be happily ever after. We'll get engaged and we'll get married. We'll be happy ever after. Guess who still didn't get it? It's unbelievably difficult, especially when all of the emotions of dating are like wrapped up into one. And this was just my experience, by the way. Other people have dramatically different experiences. To pull away from that and realize that God has designed something so much better and perfectly tailored towards you if you are courageous enough to go out and get it. I don't know who needs to be told this today, but you deserve better than the societal standards we have accepted as the norm or even as good in dating and personal relationships in 2023 America and around the world. You deserve better. You deserve better than somebody who's going to text you at 3 a.m. and say, "You up?" after ghosting you for 2 weeks just so that they can hook up with you and not call you again for a month. You deserve better than somebody who says that they are in the talking stage with you and they just want to figure things out. They're not ready to commit to a label because they're kind of also seeing 4 or 5 other people at the same time and they just want to figure out what's going to make them the happiest. But you're super fun and you're super cute and I want to have you around and I want to keep hanging out with you. You deserve better than that. You deserve better than somebody who says, "I just love you so much that I have to have sex with you right now and we are not waiting because I just can't contain my love for you." You deserve somebody who's going to say that they respect you enough and they care about you enough to wait until you are married. I know that that sounds so cliche and so out of touch with where we are at culturally, but again, I don't know who needs to hear this. Those people are out there. Those people are out there and they will become those people. They will get it and rise to the occasion if we redefine what the social norms and standards need to be in our most important relationships. There is no coincidence whatsoever that we are the most miserable we've ever been in our personal lives and in dating when we live in a culture and society that says we can and should do whatever we want with no strings attached and absolutely zero consequences for our actions. There's no coincidence to me that we are that miserable for that exact reason. We've convinced ourselves that sleeping around, that getting as many abortions as we need to get as a form of birth control, that refusing to settle down, that dating multiple people all at once, that never putting a label on anything because that weighs you down, that all of those things are going to make us happy, and they're not. They've made us unbelievably miserable. There was a time when I actually really doubted and wondered if I would ever meet the person that I was supposed to spend the rest of my life with. And I think most young people do feel that. They feel the pressure and they feel this need to settle for whatever situation that they are in right now. And I don't know if you're a boy or a girl struggling with any of this. I don't know what your current situation is. But I'm here to tell you that our last rule, and maybe our most important rule for how we can break free of the lies of modern culture and society and embrace something happier and more fulfilling, is to demand better, to realize that you deserve better, and to courageously go out and look for something that is better. Put it in God's hands and knock on some doors. And if those doors open, then they are the right doors for you. But stop gaslighting and convincing yourselves into thinking that you deserve what culture has deemed to be normal, because we all deserve a hell of a lot better. And by the way, this last and most important rule will provide the greatest opportunity for us to impact culture at large with the biggest impact possible. Because when we do choose to find real, lasting, fulfilling, committed love, we will raise that marriage rate again back towards peak high levels, which my generation is really excited about pursuing. We will build beautiful, strong families in a world that is rejecting the very concept of a nuclear family and saying that we should outlaw a nuclear family or prevent that from existing. Strong relationships lead to strong families, which lead to strong communities, which lead to strong societies as a whole. And it comes down to us, to our generation, to embrace something better in every area of our life, but particularly in our most important relationships, to change culture at large so that we're not living in the upside down anymore. We are back to living in reality. And that would make me very, very, very happy. I'm sure it would make you guys very, very happy as well. Super fun for us to just zoom back out and talk about culture at large every once in a while on the stream. John asks in our YouTube chat, when are we going to get a corgi cam? Genius idea, because we need Libby's reactions to every single thing that we are saying. So I'm going to work on that literally this afternoon, because I think that could be really, really fun. I'm so glad you guys are here. Don't forget, every single day after our stream, we do a little open forum Q&A to our locals supporters over in our locals community. And we also have a couple of series that exist exclusively over on locals to our family and community over there. The reason we do that, I've gotten a lot of questions about it, is because I am a totally independent creator, and I make a living from doing all of these things. So we make some content that does exist just specifically for our local supporters that are deep dives into some of these topics that we talked about today. Every Tuesday, we post a new episode of Outdated, which is our series specific to dating and relationship culture, the lies of that culture today, and where we can fight it with truth. And every Thursday, we post a new episode of Domus, which is our new series on faith and the church. We've got a freaking Fire Flames episode for our local supporters tomorrow on Domus, where we sat down with a friend of mine who is a Protestant Christian and a friend of mine who is a Catholic Christian and talked about the misconceptions that are existing between denominations right now, why church unity is important, and where we can learn to come together as one body of Christ. Super interesting conversation that nobody else is having right now that exists over on locals, and that episode will be up tomorrow. So I'm super excited about that. But all of that to be said, that is one of the ways that me as a totally independent creator who does this stuff out of the spare bedroom of her apartment is able to get better equipment and provide more opportunities for guests and make sure that our stream can be the best that it possibly can be. And we do our Q&As over on Locals after the stream every single day so that during the stream we can focus on all the things that we want to talk about every day, because I know there have been some questions about that. So we would love to see you guys over in our Locals community today for our Q&A after the stream over there. And I just want to say again, thank you so much to every single one of you who is here. It is the craziest, coolest thing to me around the world that you guys are watching from literally every corner of the globe and are here and are following my content and are subscribing to these channels and sharing these links with everybody else. It is very, very humbling and a huge responsibility, but honestly the biggest honor of my life that you are here. So before we go, do me a huge favor, if you haven't already, hit that follow or subscribe button, which is totally free. It always will be, to watch these streams on whatever platform you are watching on right now. Thank you to everyone who has consistently donated in our live chat. That means the absolute world to me and makes such a difference in my life as an independent creator. And if you have the capacity to repost this stream on whatever platform you're watching on right now, Getter and Facebook, I know you guys can repost. Please consider doing that so more people can find this content and we can have these conversations with my generation that are more and more important every single day. All right, Getter gang, don't you go anywhere. Not Getter gang, Locals gang. You guys, Isabel needs coffee. I'm gonna go make a cup of coffee for like 3 seconds, and until I come back, you guys hang tight over on Locals for our Q&A. Everybody else, Facebook, YouTube, Getter, and Rumble, thank you so much for joining us on the stream today. We will see you guys tomorrow, and come hang out with us over on Locals if you're wanting a bit more conversation today and our Q&A, where we can answer as many questions as possible here in just a second. Love you guys.